Hi everyone, and welcome to Small Farm Living. Today I'm going to be starting some seeds, and I'm just going to kind of show you the process that I go through. It's going to be a relatively small batch of seeds so far because we're just at the beginning of February, but I'm boiling some water, and I'm doing that to kill any fungus gnat larvae that might be dormant in the soil, and I'm going to get that poured over, and then we're going to let that sit probably for about upwards of 5 minutes just to let it do its magic and to cool off enough for me to work the soil. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to take the boiling water and I'm just going to pour it into my soil. And then we're going to let that sit, like I said, for several minutes until it cools off enough for us to be able to work it. I've got a pair, sorry about that, I got a pair of gloves here that I'm going to put on, and we'll get started in just a moment. Okay, it's been sitting for a few minutes. It's still steaming, but I'm going to try and work it anyway, see if my hands can handle it. I've got my gloves on. Sometimes I just wear normal garden gloves, but I didn't have a pair in the house today, so I'm just going to take this and work it around, and I may have to actually add some more. So I added a little more water. It's not steaming quite so bad anymore, and we are just going to take our fingers and mix this all together, kind of like you would a dough. And this is much easier when I'm out in my greenhouse. I have a designated big mixing tray that I do all this in, but it's really kind of cold outside today, so I decided I would just do this in the house, and this is just a shallow tray that's used for watering the plants when they're in little containers out in the greenhouse so that they can drink water from the bottom. But you can see, I'm making a nice mess, but I've got this all at the consistency that I really like it. And what that is you can pick it up, you can squeeze it, and it holds its shape, but if you bump it, it falls apart. Today I'm going to be using a soil blocker, and it'll make little tiny soil blocks with an indentation. That's what these little nubs are on the end, that you drop your seed into. And it's kind of a seed saving trick that a lot of growers use, where you can get a lot of seeds planted and get them germinating in a small space instead of using the larger containers like you see at the nurseries and things like that. So I just rub it down, make sure that it's all full, scrape it off. And then I have these old lunch trays. If you can see this one, I'll put it across the top here. And I just bring it down and I squeeze this little lever, and it makes my little, they're like little cubes with little indents in it, and each one of my little seeds will go into one of these indents. And then usually what I do is cover the top with a vermiculite. Some people like to use other products. I have no problems with vermiculite, and it works very well for me. So I'm going to keep going and fill up this tray, and then we'll get to planting some seeds. Oh, that one didn't come all the way out. Let's try that again. This happens sometimes with soil blocking. I didn't get it pushed down in there good enough. See, I'm just making sure I'm not smashing it down in there because I don't want it to be a compacted little brick where they can't spread their tiny little roots in there. But I just want to make sure that there's no really soft air pockets in there so that there is good soil contact with the roots, and I'm getting a solid enough little block to hold up. Okay, one more to go. And I'm not the world's greatest soil blocker, but it all works. Okay, we've got those done. Now, I'm going to take my gloves off here, and we will start to plant some seeds. So I'm getting started here, and you can see I have a little seed, let's focus better, in each one of the little indents in there. I have 2 rows done so far, and I'm going to start doing the 3rd row. And it isn't always easy to get them perfectly set in there, so it's okay. I just push them around, get them where I want them to go. And we're just going to continue doing this all the way until we have the whole tray done. And then I will get the vermiculite and we will get them covered. And I usually water over the top a little bit more, either with the mister. I do bottom water these. If you water them from the top, they will just fall apart. So, little tip for you. And what I am sowing today is some stock iron mix. It is absolutely gorgeous. If I have a picture, I will throw that in. Okay, so today I am going to be planting some more seeds. It's been about a couple of days since I planted the stock flowers, and today I'm going to show you, some of them have pictures, some of them don't, but Sweet William, and this is from Botanical Interests. I also have gotten some from Seed, which is a wholesaler for flower growers. But I'll also just go to the store and pick up packets like this, because a lot of times I don't need 500 seeds and take me years to get through them. So I'm also going to do straw flower. These are also from Botanical Interest. I get them at my local farm store. A lot of them carry that brand. Rudbeckia Sahara. I just think those are gorgeous. I'm also going to do some Goldilocks. But again, this one is from Seed and it's just plain labeled. Then I'm going to do some sweet yellow onions. I use these a lot in making salsa. I'm not a real onion girl as far as eating them fresh, but I do love them in salsa. And then these are some seeds that I actually saved off of some liatris, and they're called Meadow Star Button. Super cute. The butterflies love them to pieces. Mostly why I grow them, but they all are also pretty in bouquets. So what I'm going to do is, this tray that I'm using today is kind of a larger tray. I don't know if you can kind of see the depth. I use this to start sunflowers a lot and sweet peas because there's just more room for the roots to grow. But I'm going to be doing a lot of different seeds, and I'm going to be doing them all in one tray, and the germination rates are different, but it doesn't really matter because there's holes on the bottom of these. You can see them right here, and it's really easy to just push the soil out, and I don't usually have any trouble with them all falling out. So I'm going to do that, and then many of them need a heat mat to germinate. Some it really doesn't matter, so I'm going to keep them all in the same tray and just put them on the heat mat. It does tend to make the ones that don't necessarily need it germinate a little bit faster. I'm going to get this filled up with the soil, and then we'll get to planting. What I'm going to do before I get started planting is I'm going to take and just kind of tamp it down a little bit. You can see how much the soil has kind of moved down, and then you can see how much is underneath. That's why I'm putting it on the paper. But I'm just going to make sure that I get it tamped down a little bit just to get that soil in contact with each other, so there's, again, no big air pockets in there that would cause the roots to dry out once they start to grow. And then as soon as I have this all filled up, I will show you how I labeled the sides with the plant name and the date, and then we'll put the seeds in. All right, so all I've done here is I've just taken a piece of, this is masking tape, and it's the thinner masking tape. I do also use painter's tape, but I just happen to be out of it right now. But what I do is I take and write the name of what I'm planting, and then the number 2 down there, that just signifies that I'm going to be doing 2 rows. And I just try to keep it spaced out to where you can really tell based on how many rows you're planting of each, where exactly they are. The straw flower, we're doing 4 rows of straw flower, and I just have today's date on there so I know when I planted them, so I can track their germination. Then over here we're going to have 2 of the Rudbeckia, and then we're going to have 2 of the Liatris, and then we're going to have 2 rows of Sweet William. now I put vermiculite over everything but these 4 rows. I accidentally got a little bit in that row, but the reason is that straw flowers just like to be surface sown. They do not like to be covered. So what I'm going to do next is I have this little pump sprayer. You can find these on Amazon or at your local farm store. Kind of noisy, but I'm going to give it a few pumps, and then I'm just going to very lightly go over the top of all of these. And it's to get the seed to make contact with the soil. Do a little bit extra over the vermiculite so it's sure to penetrate through it. And then I'm going to take cinnamon and I'm going to sprinkle that over the top of my soil. And I did end up doing this off camera with my stock flowers as well. And cinnamon is antifungal, and I, for some reason, just tend to really have like that white powdery mildew that just loves to form on the top of the soil. And we have well water, which I almost feel like it makes everything grow on the top, but this helps. It doesn't completely prevent it, but it does help. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take these down and put them on my seed starting shelf, and I will show you that as well. But I did just want to show you that for going down there, I have this solid tray. This is what holds water. And then inside that solid tray, I have a mesh tray, and that allows water to come up through so that I can bottom water. I'll just fill the solid tray with water high enough to where it comes up through the mesh tray, and then I'll put my tray with all of my seedlings in it, and as they need to be watered, that allows them to soak up the nutrients and the water from the bottom. I will from time to time continue to top spray depending on if they dry out, but I am going to cover this so that it has like the greenhouse effect down in my seed starting room, and just keep an eye on it. I will be turning a fan on here as well to keep the air circulation going in there. It's mostly important when they start to germinate, which I will go over in another video, but now I will take you down to my seeds. So here we are down in my seed starting room. I actually have this down in a spare bedroom in our daylight basement, and it's a little chaotic in here right now because we did have some family members living with us for a brief amount of time. So I am going to be working on getting this area cleaned up, but this is actually a shelf, believe it or not, that was used at a local big box store. Let's see if I can back up and show you it better. For displaying plants out in the garden center, and at the end of the season, they just trash them. They break them all apart and throw them away. And so I have acquired quite a few of these, and they make perfect seed starting shelves. And I have taken shop lights and have just put hooks up here where I can adjust the height of the lights. As the seedlings germinate and start to grow, I can lift them up so they don't burn. Down here is the stalk. I've got those covered. You'll notice they're not on the heat mat because stalk does not like a heat mat. They're a cool flower. And up here are the seedlings that we just planted, and I protected the ones that don't like to be covered so that the saran wrap does not make contact with the seeds and lift them off. But these are just little covers that I save off of to-go containers. They work really well, and this will keep the saran wrap lifted off of those. But the others I don't seem to have a problem with when I cover them with vermiculite. But you can already see the condensation, if I could talk, starting to form. And we have these on a heat mat and have them under lights to germinate. So this is where they will sit, and we will keep an eye on them, and I will come back and show you once they have germinated and keep you guys up to date on the status of those. Down here in this outlet, I have a timer that has my lights coming on at 6 in the morning, and then they don't go off until 9 o'clock at night, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I don't have the heat mat plugged into that because I want the heat mat to stay on at all times. All right, I am down in my germination room, and I wanted to bring you back down here because I will pull my stalk out. You can kind of see there, the lights are pretty bright, but this is about a week since I planted them, and that is where they are at. I actually did just lift the lights up one notch on the wires for them to have a little bit more room to grow. They were getting really close to the bottom of the lights and I didn't want them to burn. And my seedlings up here, I did have some that didn't germinate very well, so I'm going to replant those. That honestly is something I experience almost every year. I'll have 100% germination rate on one type of seed and another one very spotty, sometimes none at all. And I will replant them a week later and lo and behold, I have 80 to 100% germination on them. So it's just part of the game, and I will, like, I think the onions didn't do very well, so I'll just replant those. No big deal. I have plenty of time. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. And if you have any questions on anything in the video today, please leave me a question down in the comments. Type question in all caps so that I can find it easier. And I will either answer you down in the comments or I will just compile a video to answer a bunch of questions. But I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.